You have to know exactly why you're there. Don't just stagnate. Don't just kind of sit there because you're comfortable. If you're there, make sure you're actually choosing to be there. Hello and welcome to Not Your Forever Job. I am Hayley Loren, an engineer and career coach. And this is the show where we basically unpick your career, help you figure out where you're going, what it is that you want, and how to make it happen. Now, I'm really excited because today is the first episode of season 3. We are back officially, which is really, really exciting. And I'm going to be here helping you for the next 10 to 15 weeks or so. So quite a while. Today on the show, we are looking at the 3 questions to ask yourself if you're feeling unhappy at work. Now, I know it can be really awful and frustrating and draining if every day you're having to basically kind of sit at your desk and go to meetings and do your work, but kind of deep down you're just not feeling happy. And it might be that you don't know where you want to go or what you want to do. It might be that you had your eye on something, but it's just not worked out. Maybe coronavirus and the whole year, the whole pandemic has kind of pushed all of your plans aside. Whatever situation that you're in, regardless, when you're feeling unhappy at work, day in and day out, it can be really, really frustrating. So today I've got 3 questions for you to really ask yourself to then help you get that clarity and that certainty in kind of where you're going and what it is that you want. So we're going to kick things off with the first question. And you might be like, this is a really simple one. And sometimes the best things are simple, and often we actually kind of ignore what is right in front of us and the simple things. So the first question here is, why are you unhappy? Now, you might be doing a whole load of kind of moaning and ranting to friends and family about your boss doing this and this happening and something else happening at work, which is just so frustrating and draining. But have you actually sat down and really thought about why you're unhappy? So is it a boss? Is it a particular person that makes your life hell? Is it that you don't like the environment, that you feel lonely, that you kind of don't like having to commute into, maybe you're working on site or at a factory or something like that and you're not enjoying that side of things? You need to be really specific about why you're unhappy. And until you can actually figure out exactly why you're unhappy, you're not going to be able to change anything. All you're going to do is kind of sit in that unhappiness for ages and not solve any problems. So the first step is answering that question of why are you unhappy? Now, I have got a free downloadable career clarity guide for you, which basically goes through this and it helps you figure out what you don't like, what you do like, and kind of understanding the general picture, overall holistic picture of your job, so that you can figure out then the next steps forward. So in order to get that, just head over to my website, which is www.hayleyloren.com/coaching. And honestly, if you go through this, it's just easy questions that you work through. Some of them, it's fun. If you like questionnaires or multiple choice questions and things like that, I'm a bit of a dork. So a dork? I don't think I've said that for ages. But I am. So I quite like filling things like that out. So yeah, I really recommend doing that as your kind of first port of call. Now, question number 2 is kind of another simple one, but you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from. So the next question is, why haven't you left yet? Now, this is kind of quite a big one, because you might think, oh, it's difficult, it's because I can't leave or because of something else. And we always have all of these excuses. But genuinely, I want to ask you, and I want you to think about this. Why haven't you left yet? If you're unhappy, what is it about your situation that is making you stay? And when you kind of look into this question, it's really good at teasing out some of the issues here. So it might be that you've not left because you're feeling scared about where you're going. Maybe you kind of have these voices or these thoughts in your head that are like, oh, I'm not going to be good enough. Nobody's going to hire me. Or it might be that you've been with your company for so long, maybe like 5 years or 8 years or even longer, and you just don't know what's on the other side. Because sometimes, there's that phrasing, isn't there, of better the devil you know. Like, at least you're comfortable, at least you know what the bad things are where you are, at least you know what you're doing. So it might be the idea of doing something completely different is really scary. It might also be that, you've heard for so long from your bosses or people at work, if you're in a toxic environment, you might have heard for so long that basically you're not good enough or you wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere else. And this is just not true. So you got to kind of tease through some of these feelings. And another reason is loyalty. You might end up feeling like you don't want to let people down, or you don't want to disappoint some of your colleagues, and you kind of feel bad about the idea of just leaving them in the lurch and just leaving your job. So if I were you, and if you have listened to this podcast before, then you know that I like action and I really believe in taking action. So I think a really good step is to brainstorm all of the reasons why you haven't left yet, whether it's security, so financial reasons, whether you feel too tired to be able to actually apply for jobs. There's so many different reasons why you might not have actually left yet. But until you actually know the whys, you're not going to be able to unpick them and solve them and actually move forward. So that's question number 2. Just a thing to note with this one, that once you've actually got your list, a useful thing to do is to go through and kind of look at which ones you can and cannot control, because often some things on your list might be things that you have no control over, like how your boss kind of treats you, or I don't know, where like the specific environment that you're in or the commute that you have. Or there might be other things that you can control. Like it might be possible to actually move departments or move boss, or well, you can't necessarily move a boss, but you can move into a different area or a different project. And once you kind of look at what you can and can't control, then you can kind of break it down and be like, okay, well, it's not worth spending so much energy focusing on all of the bits that you can't control. You might as well just focus on the things that you can control. And then when you have that, take action and try and change the situation. And if you get to a point where you've taken as much action as you can and you've had as many conversations and you've tried to drive change and really kind of improve your situation, if you get to that point, then again, I want you to ask yourself, why haven't you left yet? Sometimes it just takes that initial kind of this drive to actually take action and move forward, but you have to know exactly why you're there. Don't just stagnate. Don't just kind of sit there because you're comfortable. If you're there, make sure you're actually choosing to be there, okay? Cool, right, okay, let's go on to number 3. So this kind of links to the other things that I've been saying about taking action. And this is, are you doing everything that you can do in order to drive the change? Now, a lot of the time, and I have done this myself, definitely in many years when I've been unhappy at work, I spend a lot of my time kind of complaining about my situation and being unhappy with my situation and making a whole load of excuses, but then not actually doing anything about it. And this is a sort of rut and the cycle that you can actually get in. And that is just this negative place. And it can be so difficult when you've got your boss going at you, you've got work that you don't enjoy doing, and you've got all of these elements kind of hitting you. So why are you going to kind of want to do anything? You're going to be lacking energy and you're going to be lacking a spark, and you're not going to have that drive to want to move forward. But the thing is, you have to be honest with yourself and understand that you are the one in control here. Don't go believing that you're trapped in this situation, because you're not. There are always choices and there are always options for you, whether it's changing the situation that you're in, where you are in the job that you're in, or moving and leaving. Like, I have this motto that I always say to myself. It's either accept it, so either accept the situation that you're in and just move forward from that, or change it. Can you do anything to actually change it and kind of alter the situation to improve things, or you can leave it. That's it. Really, those are only the only the three options that you have. Accept it, change it, or leave it. Outside of that, there really isn't much more that you can do. And unless you're doing one of those things, you are going to feel resistant at work, you're going to feel unhappy at work, and you're going to get trapped in this like horrible kind of negative cycle where all you're doing is coming home from work and complaining. And I understand the complaints, so I do understand where you're coming from, but there has to come a point where as long as you're taking action, you have to do your bit, right? You have to take that action and move forward. Okay, so those are the three questions that I really want you to dig deep and ask yourself. So we've got, why are you unhappy? And remember, you can grab my free downloadable career clarity guide from my website. The next one is, why haven't you left yet? And the third one is, are you I want to emphasize that, are you doing everything that you can? And don't let the excuses take over, and don't let other people control your career and your life. You are the only person on this planet who can take control of your life and your career. That's it. Nobody else. No matter what they say in your appraisals, they are not going to care as much as your career as you do, okay? So move forward, take those steps, remember you're amazing, and that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you head on over and get the free career clarity guide, and you can also sign up for my weekly email career boost, which is just a weekly email that I send out, which gives additional tips and kind of inspiration and support as well. So if you want something on kind of a Monday morning to boost you for the week, then head on over and sign up for that as well on my website too. But I hope you have an incredible week. You've got this. You can do it. Speak soon.